Hey guys, so I wanted to make a theory video based off of a storyline that was used in the Clone Wars animated show and Star Wars Rebels, and why I think this storyline could affect the future storylines of Star Wars and could involve characters like Rey. So there is an episode in Season 2 of Rebels called The Future of the Force, which the title and the plot line is very similar to the episode in Clone Wars called Children of the Force. So in the episode of The Future of the Force, Ahsoka and Kanan and Ezra and Zeb have to protect these Force-sensitive children from the Inquisitors. In the episode, Ahsoka, Kanan, Ezra, and Zeb, they save the kids, and in the end of the episode, Ahsoka talks about how this had happened in the Clone Wars. And she says that the difference was that there was the Jedi. The Jedi could protect the Force-sensitive children. And Kanan says, well, I guess now that's our job. We'll have to protect the Force-sensitive kids since there's no Jedi, not a Jedi Order anymore. So, for starters, this plot line was used in the Clone Wars. So they brought back a plot line from the Clone Wars show, which was a while back ago. Ahsoka even directly addresses that. It's directly addressed that this had happened in the Clone Wars before. I have a few thoughts about these storylines. So the plot of the World Between Worlds and the Temple and Lothal and the Gateway and all of that actually was introduced really early in the show, and Dave Filoni said that it was mentioned back in season 1, I believe, the whole space, the whole, World Between Worlds storyline. And if you go back and you watch the earlier seasons of the show, you can tell that they were prepping up for that big showdown with Palpatine and Ezra and the Gateway thing and the World Between Worlds storyline. So my point is, just because this storyline happened in season 2 and it happened earlier in the show, I still think it is relevant. I believe it is still relevant because the whole plot of the end of the show of Rebels was actually in the beginning of the show. They had it planned. Dave Filoni says that it was planned the whole time. So I believe the whole thing with the kids and watching out for the Force-sensitive children, I believe that will be brought back up. Now it's time to dive into the theory aspect. So I have a theory. I wonder if Ahsoka and the other characters from Star Wars Rebels are going to keep Force-sensitive children safe. And I have a theory that they hide them, and that Rey is one of the Force-sensitive children that Ahsoka hides. Maybe Ahsoka and Ezra, when they find Ezra, because we know they'll eventually find Ezra in the future, but maybe Ahsoka and Ezra hide Rey. Maybe they sense that Snoke was going to find her, and they hid her on a remote planet, on a backwater planet, to keep her safe. Or maybe the Force-sensitive children that Ahsoka finds, maybe they grew up to be the Jedi at Luke's order. Or maybe they are the ones that grow up to be the Knights of Ren, Luke's students that turn to the dark side. And going back to Rey, in my one video, my theory video about the Star Wars Rebels characters, I talk about how I think Sabine and Ahsoka could hide Rey. Talk about that in full detail if you want to check that out. And I also talked about in that video how I think it would be really cool if Rey was related to Obi-Wan, if she was Obi-Wan's granddaughter, and Ahsoka kind of took on that Obi-Wan role and hid Rey, because Ahsoka is alive. It's revealed to that in the end of Rebels. Dave Filoni said in a recent interview that Star Wars Rebels was not its own island. It wasn't its own thing. That it was a Star Wars story. That he wanted to tell stories in Star Wars Rebels that reflected George Lucas's vision and stories that George Lucas would want to be told. He said that everything's connected, all of the characters are connected. And there's an older interview, and I think it was released around the time of Rogue One, when Rogue One was about to hit theaters, where Dave Filoni directly says that they write the stuff in the show to match up with the movies, that it's all interwoven with each other. I'll put a link to those interviews so you guys can check them out, and they're really good, interesting interviews. And I feel like the title of the episode in Star Wars Rebels about the Force-sensitive kids, the future of the Force, I feel like that has a lot of significance because it's called the future of the Force. And it's the children, the next generation, that are the future of the Force. I feel like that theme was used a lot in The Last Jedi, especially that scene between Yoda and Luke. I got the impression that it was the next generation of Force users could avoid the mistakes of past Jedi. So I think the Force-sensitive children storyline is also going to be used in the next Star Wars show, next animated one by Dave Filoni, which I'm so excited for that one because there's so much that we still don't know, and I really want to see everything. I want to see a younger Ben Solo. I want to see all the dots connect. So I guess John Boyega said recently that he hoped that episode 9 would reveal Finn's past, that it would show Finn's past. I have a few thoughts about that statement. So one, if they could show Finn's past, why wouldn't they show Rey's past? Why couldn't they show Rey's past? Secondly, what I got out of that was him trying to give a hint to fans, being like, yes, everything is connected. We can't just say it is, but I can say the statement to give you a hint that everything will connect. I mean, Rey and Obi-Wan even have the same hairstyle. She has the same hairstyle as Obi-Wan from Attack of the Clones. When I first watched Force Awakens, I thought Finn was somebody too. I didn't think just Rey was someone. I thought Finn was related to someone as well. And I remember a long time ago that they said he was, and then that was never brought up again. And I remember an older interview from Mark Hamill about Force Awakens, and it was about the scene where Han died. And Mark Hamill said something like, what? These two people who have known Han for 5 minutes are the ones that are with Han when he dies, not me and Leia? And I remember in the interview he said that J.J. Abrams had talked to him, and then after he had spoken with him, he was like, okay, it makes sense. And so my thoughts on that was that Finn and Rey were related to someone. That scene would have significance of Rey being a Kenobi. And when it comes to Finn, I thought Finn was Lando's son maybe, because to me, Finn acts a lot like Lando, only he's just not as smooth as Lando, but irresponsible, runs away, doesn't want to take responsibility. And I thought with Finn being Lando's son, that scene of Han dying would be so significant, because Han's best friend's son was there to watch Han die, to witness Han dying. Finn's mother could have been a Force sensitive, or I know some people think that Finn could have a relation to Mace Windu. No, I don't think Mace had any kids. I don't see him as the type of doing that, but we don't know about his family. He could have had brothers or sisters and all of that, so Finn could have been like Mace's nephew. There could be some relation in that sort of way, which that would be pretty cool as well. It's obvious that Finn is a Force sensitive. He was able to get Kylo on the shoulder. He was able to fight Kylo, and in the scene in The Last Jedi, Finn fights a lot like a Jedi. When he is fighting Phasma, it looks like he's fighting in a lightsaber duel. He's kind of got that Jedi pose. Finn being related to Mace would be cool too, because Mace Windu and Obi-Wan worked together. They fought along side by side, so that would be kind of cool too, if you had Rey being a Kenobi, being Obi-Wan's granddaughter, fighting alongside Finn, who would be related to Mace Windu. So if you watch my videos, you'll hear me say about 1,000 times how much I want Rey to be a Kenobi, and I talk about it all the time. And there was something that I didn't notice until I saw this recently. I watched the scene from Attack of the Clones where Obi-Wan and Anakin fight Dooku, and during the scene, Obi-Wan gets hurt by Dooku, and in that scene, he takes his lightsaber and he throws it to Anakin, and he goes like, "Anakin!" and throws it to Anakin. Anakin gets the lightsaber. Well, it's really similar to the scene in The Last Jedi when Rey gets hurt and she's got the lightsaber and she says, "Ben!" and she throws the lightsaber to Ben. I was like, oh my gosh, these scenes are so similar. They're like 99% the same. And somebody also compared the two scenes on Tumblr, on a Tumblr post. So I'm going to see if I can find that post, and I will link it so you guys can see the comparisons of the two, because it is, wow, it's so similar. Speaking of the prequels, so when I got The Last Jedi on DVD, for the DVD menu, they play the music from the prequels. They play the music where Anakin's all on the ground and Obi-Wan says, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." And they played that on the DVD menu screen with the images of Rey and Kylo. And so I hope that is the clue. I hope that it's a big clue that Rey is a Kenobi. I geeked out when I heard that it was music from Revenge of the Sith when I was on the DVD menu screen. I never had been so excited to look at a DVD menu screen. I absolutely loved that music from the prequels was played in The Last Jedi. The music theme where Obi-Wan arrives to Kamino and Attack of the Clones is played when Rey is on Ahch-To with Luke. Also, a snippet of Battle of the Heroes is played during the scene with Kylo and Rey when they're both trying to get the lightsaber. John Williams is such a genius. I'm also hoping that the music is a clue for Rey to be a Kenobi, since it was the same music used for Rey with scenes during Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. I hope that's a clue that she's a Kenobi. I hope there's a cool reveal in episode 9. I hope that everything connects. That's what I want the most, is I just want everything to connect. And I hope that somebody's theory is right. I hope someone's theory about Rey is right. I hope it's not like years from now we all look back and we think, remember when Force Awakens came out and we all started coming up with theories about Rey, and then it turned out it was absolutely nothing? I hope it is not like that. Also, from a business perspective, I would think they would make Rey a Kenobi, that they would make Rey related to someone so they could keep their franchise going with movies and new story material for expanded universe storylines and different Star Wars mediums. If you guys enjoyed my video, please give it a big thumbs up, please like it, and please subscribe. If you have any Rey theories or theories in general you'd like to share, please let me know in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys. Please hit the notification bell to get notifications. I feel like part of the reason why Star Wars is so great is because of the music. I absolutely love the music by John Williams from the originals and the prequels. And something I always look forward to when watching Star Wars is the music. And if I hear music from something else I watch of Star Wars, if I hear music from Revenge of the Sith, or I hear music from Attack of the Clones, like how it was played in The Last Jedi, get so excited and I totally geek out. And I really hope for episode 9, something that I hope for, like a music Star Wars wish list. I've talked about before about what I've wanted to see with Star Wars happen in episode 9, But something I also want to happen when it comes to the music is I really want to hear Duel of the Fates. I really hope Duel of the Fates is played in episode 9. Will be so excited if they play Duel of the Fates. That is one of my favorite Star Wars music pieces. I absolutely love Duel of the Fates, and I also hope they play Across the Stars. I hope they play Anakin and Padme's love theme for Kylo and Rey in episode 9. Is there a Star Wars musical theme you hope is played in episode 9? Please let me know what it is in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys. Before I close, I want to talk about Kylo and Rey because there is a section in the novelization of The Last Jedi that gives me hope for Kylo and Rey, and I just have to talk about it. So I found out about this from Pinterest, from the internet, because I have not been able to read the novelization of The Last Jedi. The first time I went to Barnes & Noble to look for it, it didn't have it. So then I went to a different Barnes & Noble, and that Barnes & Noble didn't have the book either. Maybe eventually I'll be able to read the novelization. But anyways, so I found this out from Pinterest about the ending scene when Rey shuts the door on Kylo's face, what Rey is thinking during that scene. I've heard a bunch of people talking about it on Tumblr, so I wanted to share it with you guys because it makes me so happy. It makes me very, very, very hopeful for episode 9. So I put the picture of this scene that I found on Pinterest, and I'm going to read this scene. Let him think she'd given up. He'd soon discover otherwise. Jakku had trained her to do 2 things better than anyone else could. The first was to salvage broken things. The second was to wait. Oh, this makes me so happy. And someone had told me that in the novelization of The Last Jedi, that Rey realizes that she tried to rush the vision too soon, the vision of Kylo turning away from the dark side, and that she tried to force it, she tried to make it happen, and she realizes that's not how the Force works, and basically it has to happen naturally. That's what someone told me, and this gives me hope. This scene, the novelization of this scene gives me so much hope for Kylo and Rey. He's gonna wait for him to turn away from the dark side. And I absolutely love the part about the first was to salvage broken things, because that totally describes Kylo. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you hear a snoring noise in the video or a noise that sounds like loud breathing, that was my corgi snoring the whole time. So I apologize for that. His breathing sounded like Darth Vader. But anyways, I will see you guys next time. And remember, may the Force be with you. That is so awesome.